Hey, what's going on, y'all? I already know that you're ready. Welcome to the St. Michael Podcast. Welcome. Welcome back to episode number 9 of the St. Michael Podcast. I am your host, Michael Agbajan. This is the St. Michael Podcast, one man's attempt at business, family, and comedy. I want to thank you for joining me because I have to be honest, I missed you. Man, it's been like 2 weeks since I was able to talk to y'all. You know, last week I did the episode with Danny Gill. That was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. You know, I know the episode ran a little tad long, but you know, that's what happens, man, when you get to talking. Yeah, new updates. I'm still flossing, you know, so just understand I floss day and night, stay flossing, you know, so I don't think those cavities will be coming back anytime soon. So just know that I'm still flossing. Also, if you want to support, I have to say this real quick. If you want to support me and know how to support this podcast, I would really appreciate if you went to the Apple Podcast and then you left a, you know, review, 5-star. You know, that not only helps me, it's free. All it costs you is just a little time, and you know that's how other people discover, you know, this podcast. You know, that's how they figure out, you know, what this is, and you know, it helps spread the word. So if you listen to this right now, you can go ahead and just go to the Apple Podcast, leave a review, and I would really appreciate that. But back to topic. I'm dealing with some things right now. One of the things I'm dealing with is with this particular, you know, podcast, and delivering out a high quality product. Currently, I used, you know, Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro to edit and do all the videos, you know, because this is kind of a one-man band. I'm the producer, I'm the director, you know, I'm the audio guy, I'm everything in this podcast, right? So I use Adobe Premiere Pro to do the video editing, to match it up with the audio, to get it to where it needs to be at, right? But, you know, the last few weeks I've been having issues. I'm talking about serious issues where, you know, it's just lagging and it's taking too long to process like these episodes. You know, like when I first started doing the episodes, so you're talking about like episode 1 through like 4, it used to take me maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to render a 45-minute vehicle. I mean, a 45-minute video. But now, just to render, it's taking me like the last episode with, you know, with Daniel Gill on episode 8. It took me 22 hours to finally get the video out. And by that, I mean, edited it, you know, it took about, you know, an hour and a half to edit, make sure everything was where it needs to be. And then when I hit render, so I could process the video and then put it out to the world, 22 hours. That's almost a whole day. Reached out to some people to see how they solved their problems with, you know, their video. I heard other people have problems like that too. So this is like pretty common. And, you know, I'm still dealing with that right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do for this particular one. I think I'm gonna use iMovie maybe, worst case scenario. And then, you know, I have a friend who's trying to send me Final Cut, you know, Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro is another program that's very similar to Adobe Premiere Pro. But this is all this geek talk for behind the scenes. That's how I process these videos. And yeah, it's just taking a long time, you know, and that time builds up because I can't use my computer when it's rendering, so I can't even touch it. So literally a whole day I have to use a whole another computer or laptop to even get that done. It's just really frustrating because these are the things that the peripheral side angle things that you don't really see when you sign up for something. Because I didn't think trying to process these videos for this podcast that it was going to take 22 hours, you know what I mean, to even get that out. That's, man. So, a solution will come, solution will come because, I got to put out this hot fire, you know what I mean? But yeah, let me give y'all an update on, my employee, now better known as former employee, Kevin. As you know, in episode 7, that he walked off the job, right? And while he was walking off the job, I was asking him, I said, "Are you quitting?" And he was like, "Man, just validate my ticket so I could leave." I was like, "Okay, I just want to be clear if you're quitting because you still have all the equipment and supplies and all that." And he's like, "I'm not sure if I'm quitting yet." I'm like, "That's not how this works. You have to be sure because you're walking off in the middle of the job." And he was like, "Man, can you just validate my ticket?" I was like, "All right, well, I'm going to need to get all your supplies and equipment." So then he popped his trunk, had all his supplies and equipment, pulled it all out, left it there, and left in the middle of the job, which let me, that put me in a position where I had to do everything, right? So, just for shits and giggles, I said, let me get the customer down here to come check out his vehicle, and maybe I'll have him grade it. Mind you, the grade I gave the car that Kevin did, in my head, I gave it a D. I didn't think it was good at all. But then I was nice and I gave him a C. Now, Kevin disagreed greatly, so much that he quit midday and thought that what he did was an A+. In his words, he said A+, if it wasn't, other than the trunk, A+. So I said, let me have the customer down here and see what he thinks. So the customer comes down and I told him, I said, "Hey, I didn't do this vehicle, but I would like to get your honest opinion on what you would grade this vehicle from A to F. But, let me know what you think. Take a look around inside and out and just tell me what you think." And he said, "Okay, cool." So he went around the vehicle, looked around, touched up a few things. And then I say, "Okay, what do you think?" He says, I give it a B. Oh. When he said B, that took the wind out of me. You know what I mean? Because I was like, man, maybe I am too rough. You know what I mean? Maybe I am too critical. You know what I mean? Because if I gave him a D in my head or gave him a C out loud and he thought it was an A+ and the customer gives him a B, maybe I am too hard, And then I told him, I said, "Hey, so you give it a B?" He said, "Yeah, I give it a B." I said, "Then I might need your help." And the customer's like, "Okay, what's going on?" I was like, "Okay, I might be wrong, but okay." When I looked over the vehicle and I saw a few things, I gave this vehicle a C. And he said, "Yeah, I could see that. You being, the owner, I could see you having more of a detailed eye. I see that." I was like, "Yeah." But when I told him that it was a C, he got so upset that he left, like he just quit. He said, "He quit because you told him it was a C?" Okay, hold on real quick. Let me be fully honest. I gave him a B. I just gave it a B to be nice. I said, "Okay, what do you give it for real?" It's like, honestly, a C minus maybe a D. I said, "Okay, then we're on the same page." Like, yeah, I was just trying to be nice. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I was like, "Yes, I appreciate you telling me this." And I was like, in my head, at first, I was like, "Oh man, I went too hard." And then second, when he told me like, "Okay, I was just trying to be nice," I said, "Okay, appreciate that." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Look at this. I mean, he missed on the wheels and, look at the cup holder, you got just still dirt in the cup holder. There's dirt and grime all between the seats and, he didn't vacuum really well into there. He didn't get under the mat. And look, he didn't even do the trunk." I said, exactly. I appreciate you 100%. I appreciate you for sharing your honesty. But I'm gonna make sure everything's taken care of the way it needs to on your car. I just appreciate you coming out. It's okay, man. Well, good luck, man. I hope everything goes well. It's okay that guy left. He wasn't ready for this anyways. That's not good for someone to leave off of just some feedback. But cool. So I took care of his car, and everything looked clean the way it's supposed to. And it was just peculiar because, you know, after he quit on the job, you know, Kevin seemed to want to, you know, give his 2 cents about stuff. Like, okay, usually when you fire somebody, you know, or they quit, either one, you want to give them their whole check that in that 1 week, or at least I think you have at least legally up to like 6 days to give them everything. So it's almost like you're paying 2 employees, because you're paying them for the week they did, and then you're paying for whatever they would have got next week. You're paying them that week too. So, you know, he was going to get his check on Friday, but they usually get their checks at 12. But because he quit the way he quit, you know, I felt that he needs to get the end of day so he doesn't come and interrupt anything during the day. So I put it at 5 o'clock for him to get his check. So he texts me. He says, "Hey, Mike, when can I get my check?" And I said, 5 p.m. it'll be ready. And he said, "Okay, why is it that I'm getting my check later and not earlier?" And I ignored it because honestly, it doesn't matter. You don't work for me anymore. So you get it at 5. So then, you know, he ends up calling, right? And then he calls me. He said, "Hey, Michael, can you explain to me why I'm getting the check at 5 o'clock when I usually get it at, you know, 12 o'clock or, you know, earlier in the afternoon?" I said, "First, you don't work for me anymore, you know, so you get it at 5. You know, that's when it's ready. I mean, I don't know what else I could tell you. It'll be ready at 5. So, you know, if you want it earlier, maybe you could, you know, figure out another solution, but that's it. 5 o'clock." And he says, "But if I say, look, it's going to be ready at 5. And then after that, it was kind of like a done deal on the phone, you know, but that was the last conversation I had with Kevin. You know, he got his check. I haven't heard from him since, but you know, it's funny because I've already hired somebody else. There's somebody who already replaced him, but you know how some people leave you and they think, you know, they think that when they leave you high and dry like that, that you're like, you know, groveling and you're scared alone and you're by yourself. It's like, no, bro, you was replaced before you even left. You was replaced before you even left, you know? And that is pretty much, you know, like the situation that I guess he feels like he put me in a situation. He did that day, but you know, I constantly hire. That's one of the things I do literally all the time because, you know, yeah, it's a revolving door of different employees, but you know, we're always growing. So I have to have a steady cycle of available employees just because that's what takes care of the people who pay monthly. You know, I have to have someone there for those people always ready, you know, but you know, this last few days, actually this last week has been difficult for me, but I solved it, you know, not only with the whole rendering 22-hour situation with the podcast video, but you know, now my voice is back, as you could hear, because before I could barely talk, you know, but I'm back feeling better than ever. But this week has been a difficult one because you know, it was a lot of family time, which I appreciate and I love because I never really want to sacrifice or compromise on that because, you know, that time is like the goal to me. You know, that's why I do everything I do. But in this situation, I just wasn't all the way present because of all the things happening, you know. Yeah, I'm rehired for Kevin. So I had to do the training for the new guy who I replaced, you know, him with. Also, you know, we're starting a new location that's opening, Park District Business and Park District Residential. We're opening there, which is right next to Clyde Warren Park, downtown Dallas. We're opening there Wednesday, February 26th. So when you're listening to this, just know that that's what I'm going through at that very moment, you know? So, I had to hire for that too. So that new location. Also, I confirmed, San Antonio and Austin with Amazon, to start them in April, and while I'm just thinking about all these people I got to hire, all the work I got to do behind the scenes to set up, it was just a little overwhelming for me. Right. And the reason it was so overwhelming for me is that, it just felt like, I'm not sure if any of y'all ever had this feeling, like it feels like life was getting in the way of my life. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to live my life, right? I set my life up in a way where, I could do business in a certain way. I set up a system, right? But then when things happen, like when life happens and they interrupt that, it seems like you don't even have enough time for things that you put into your own life. That was like the hard part, while I'm trying to think about all these things that are happening as far as that I need to hire and training and, emails and all the things I need to do. Then I have to, prepare myself for, Perot Museum with the boys, me, my wife and the boys. Then we were going to the Stars hockey game as well. I'm meeting, my sister-in-law's boyfriend. He's coming to visit too. And, it was just a lot of things that I had to be patient for, because, I'm trying to be as present as I could be, but, there's a lot of things, that were just kind of rolling in my mind. And then when I say when life happened is that while this is happening, I don't have time and I feel like I'm just already overwhelmed. Boom, I get a flat tire. My tire explodes on the highway, and I pull over, go to the back, get the spare, put the spare on, and head home. And then, now I'm driving with a spare, and then now I need to find time to switch out my tire, and I already feel like I'm already starved of time already, so it's just a stressful moment I'm in. This is again in the last few days. And then, the next morning, my wife is driving, and next, her car stalls in the middle of nowhere, not in the middle of nowhere, but, it happened out of nowhere, where her car just stalls. And mind you, we've taken this particular vehicle to Range Rover to check out for us, and they can't seem to solve the problem. Because we took it to them 6 weeks ago. They kept it for 2 weeks, said they couldn't find anything. Car looks good, gave it back to us. A week later, it stalled again. And then, we brought it back. We towed it this time to Range Rover. And they kept it for almost 4 weeks this time. And they said, you know what? We finally solved the problem. You're good to go. We got it 4 or 5 days ago, and boom, it happened again. So now we got to return it back. So this day, where I had the spare on my car that I just put on, I go back to go pick up my wife and to take her to, we have this extra car, which is the car that she, got in college. And that's the extra car that she uses whenever there's an issue or there's people in town or whatever. And so I took her to that, and all these things are happening. And look, I had to check myself because I almost played myself on this. I almost played myself. I told myself, like, I almost thought there was something I couldn't do. Almost played myself thinking that, oh, there's something I couldn't do, because everything I had that I felt was overwhelming me and that was like putting me over the top, it was just perspective, and it wasn't actually real, because, it's not even a lot. That's the misconception. It's not even a lot. And I thought there was so many things happening, and I don't have time. And I just kind of calmed down, and I understood that, for a second, I thought there was something I couldn't do. And I'm like, I could do all this. actually I could do more, you know? So I did, you know, from that moment, you know, and this is actually earlier today, you know, my whole perspective changed because I went from almost a week of just kind of being down of all the stuff on my agenda. I was just like, man, I need to prepare myself better. I need to, you know, just kind of, you know, be a little bit more organized with what I'm doing. And then, you know, I'm kind of down and feeling like I'm overwhelmed and like too many things are happening. I got to hire here. I got to set up this person here. I got to go send this email here. I got to update this credit card here. I'm just thinking about all these different type of things. And then I was like, psst, but I could do it all. And the reason I knew I could do it all, because I'm in full control, you know, like it's okay. Like you know, when I get used to saying yes to certain things, I understand that like when a customer says, hey, can you do this for us? I usually just say yes, because I don't want to interrupt what it is that they want from us. Right. But then when I'm in full control and I know that there's some things that, you know, that could be done a little bit later, I could schedule a customer, or we could schedule a customer to a different time that works better for everybody. You know, I feel like I got to be a little bit more understanding of myself and understanding of my business, you know, that it's not overwhelming, you know, it's not. It's just that I felt that it was at that moment, because I'm just what they call, I think some people call it like future tripping, just tripping on the future, like all this stuff that you got to do and all the things that aren't in line yet and all things that aren't perfect. And, you know, like you have a certain level of expectations, and, you know, when it's all said and done, you could do it all, you know, it doesn't take, you know, a miraculous amount of hours to do all these things that are on your agenda. But I mean, I end up taking care of it all because, yep, you know, yeah, I hired, you know, we're starting the new location, and, you know, I'm more ready than the location is, you know. I actually went down there, checked out the 10 spots, and I was like, okay, look good. And I was like, you know, talking to them, making sure everything's all in line for when we start. And, you know, they were backed up, you know, and she was talking about she's overwhelmed. And I told her the same thing. I was like, you're not really overwhelmed. I mean, you might be a little bit unprepared, but at the end of the day, you could do it all. And then at that moment, she was like, you know what? You're right. And I was like, whoa. So I guess this is with other people. I feel like maybe a lot of people are overwhelmed with all the things they need to do and all the goals and all that. But, you know, yeah, it's a lot of stuff that, you know, has, you know, kind of like been happening lately that I feel like is out of the ordinary, but it's not out of the ordinary. Life is supposed to happen. So when, you know, life happens, you know, in the middle of when I'm trying to, you know, run my life, I just got to deal with it. You know, I don't have to be overwhelmed at things that aren't happening the way it should be. I just got to understand that I'm in full control. And if I need to push things a little bit later, they'll be understanding, you know, people will be understanding. Or if I have to communicate better, or, you know, just take time out just to, you know, just understand what needs to be done next, you know? And, yeah, that was this week, you know? I don't know if Range Rover is going to find a situation this time. This is our third time bringing it to them. Hopefully they figured out a solution, because, they haven't been able to help us. It's unfortunate, but, you know, despite all these things that are happening, just got to remember how blessed I am, and, you know, all the people that helped me, and all the control I have over what it is I have in front of me, and that I don't have to worry like that, you know. But what you missed also 2 weeks ago, when my voice was, you know, out and I was actually under the weather, they had this tryout for the comedy arena for, it's a 5-minute tryout, you know, audition really. And, you know, it puts you in line to do a 15-minute show, you know, when they do a show. So I went out there. So this is in McKinney, and, you know, I'm in Irving, Texas, right? So it took me about, I'll say it took me about 45 minutes to an hour just to drive out there, find this place, It was at a coffee shop, open mic at a coffee shop. And right when I walked in, she said, "What's your name?" I said, "Michael Agbajan." She's like, "Okay, cool. You're going up in the next few minutes." I was like, "Whoa, already?" And even though I could tell you now, if you want me to be fully honest, I wasn't even fully prepared for that tryout or that audition, because I was really trying to figure out reasons to like not go, because I did feel sick and my voice was out. Our babysitter, who is, my little cousin, she had car troubles, and so she was coming late, and everything was just delayed, and things were happening, and it just wasn't going as expected. And I was just like, maybe I should just not do it today, and maybe just wait till the next audition, next tryout, and then like see how that goes, because I don't want to overwhelm myself. I don't want to put myself in a predicament of something I can't handle, But instead, I went out there anyways, because I felt like it's too easy. I think this is for a lot of people. I feel like it's too easy, to quit, especially when it's for a good reason. People love I feel like there's no good reason to quit. I feel like you could take a break, but quitting, I don't know. And I get it that, we deal with a lot of things and people have a lot of personal issues. I hear this a lot where someone will start something and then, they'll tell me about how good it was and all that. I'm like, why don't you do it anymore? And it's like, oh man, I had kids. And I'm thinking, would your kids have wanted you to stop what you're doing? I get it that, kids are hard and that, you might not have all the help that, many others are blessed with or whatever. But when you quit, it just, I don't know. I feel like people should learn how to take breaks and pause things versus quitting, And, that night when I was going to go do the audition, I had every reason in my head to not go. And I knew if I didn't, I wouldn't learn anything from that, And then also I understood the risk of going out when I don't feel very good. And I know I shouldn't fight the body, I should always listen to how I feel and, take the breaks I need so I could be my best self, but I don't feel like there's anything such as like wasted time. So I went out there regardless of all the circumstances that I was feeling and all that, because I feel like those were distractions trying to take me away from what the goal was. Cause I knew that by not going to the audition, that's something I'm not learning. That's people I'm not connecting with. And the audition went great. It went awesome, and I was really excited about it because, I wasn't fully prepared, but, they enjoyed it, they really enjoyed it. And after, I spoke with the owner, the comedy arena, and we just kind of talked about next steps. So, hopefully, I get to be a part of their longer, bigger shows. But if not, it's all good. I learned from it, and then, also, there was, this last Thursday, I did a stand-up. I want y'all to hear it, and this was at, Backdoor Comedy. And what I did here, as it's like the 3-minute joint, and just so y'all kind of know what it is, so y'all know what I'm doing. Cause I told you all my goals for comedy is to get on bigger stages and do that. But you don't really know how I'm going about doing that right now. All the different comedy things that you hear me do, like whether it be stand up or anything, it's me trying to be myself on stage, I'm not sure if it happens to you or anything like that, but you could be yourself when you're having a conversation and talking with people. But, once that camera goes on, like you could be dancing, doing your thing, but once someone starts recording you, things change, I don't know what that is, and that's the part I'm trying to get better at, is being my true self on stage, and I'm starting to get closer. If you've been listening to anything that I've been doing comedy wise, you'll hear, well, I hear progress. And on this last set, I felt like I was getting more into just doing my personal thing, but in this recording, you'll hear that, okay, there's two parts of it where I asked, like, is this mic on? Because, there's like sound issues that were happening when I was doing it at the back door. But take a listen, and this is exactly how it went.
Hey, how are you? Hey, everybody, how are y'all? My name is Michael Agbajan. Really happy today because I finally got my voice back. I lost my voice last week, and it was really difficult to talk. But now I can do this. I'll give you the world, baby girl. You just gotta be worthy. You ain't got to be perfect. You just have to be worthy. See, I can do that now. So my voice is back. My voice is back. We got ducks in my backyard. Apparently they don't fly south for the winter. They fly to my backyard because we get visits like every spring from these ducks, and they're growing on me. They're 7 days with us. My two boys, I got a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. They love them. They look at them as free pets. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. Great. They look at them as free pets, right? But it's odd because when my dad comes in, he looks at it like free food, because he's from Nigeria. They don't look at pets different. We even named them Ricky and Bobby. That's the name we have right now. For some people, it's probably shake and bake. You have first or last. For others, it's Ricky, Bobby, pose for the frame. Y'all know about that? Maybe not. But when my dad saw the ducks, he was like, "Junior, we need to find a way to catch those ducks." I was like, "No, Daddy, we can't eat ducks." Because it reminded me of when we were younger, we found this turtle. And so, this turtle, we said, "Whoa, can we keep it?" And then my uncle, who was there, he was like, when we was younger, when we find a turtle like that, we'll eat that turtle. I was like, "Oh, that's aggressive," yeah, we love the ducks. But y'all probably wondering why I'm wearing all this clothes. You'll probably think because it's cold, right? No, actually, it's because I'm ashy under all this. Are you familiar with ashy is, sir? It's a part of my regimen. I think it's almost white privilege not to even worry about lotion like I have to worry about lotion. I have to, okay, look, what kind of lotion do you use?
All of them.
Use all of them?
All of them.
What's the best one?
Hams. I just mix
You
them
said which
together,
one?
put them in tequila.
Hams?
Hams.
Hams? Don't worry that, I'll be chalky white under this right now. I have to categorize my lotions. I'm Jergens. Double protection.
I don't think it works that way.
What? Look at me. I'm moisturized. What are you talking about? This is morning. Hey, I'm Michael Abjon. Thank you so much. Love y'all. Yeah.
Yep. So,
Thank you. Good. Nice job. Yeah. Michael Abjon.
Yeah. So that was the stand-up I did this last Thursday at Backdoor, and look, I enjoyed it. Even though it was a little few interruptions. There's even a little kind of a troll in the crowd. He was when I asked about, what lotion do you use? He was like, all of them. All of them. I was like, oh, you use all of them? He said, yeah. I was like, how do you use all of them? He's like, I mix them together. He was just trying to be funny, I guess. Right. And then when I said, I use Jergens double protection, he said, that's not how that works. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, that was the last set that I did at Backdoor. But yeah, just so I could let you know, like, the goal is to set up my 5-minute reel, which is just a straight set. So all the different jokes you've heard in the past, they're going to be put together in a way to create a 5-minute set. In that video, I'm gonna have a 5-minute set. I'm gonna have a 10-minute set. And that video, I'm gonna send out to different clubs, in all in the area, Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, all the comedy clubs there and abroad. And I'm gonna see about, being part of their shows, because, when you go to a club, they ask for, your 5-minute reel. They want to see, what you do on stage. And that's what I'm preparing for, just so, y'all are aware of, where this is all going, because in order to get on bigger stages, I have to have, a certain presence first. I have to be able to build my community, build my crowds. And the first step of that, when you get into comedy, is to building out your first real set. And when you have your first 5-minute solid set, that's what you travel with. That's when you go, when people say you're on the road, you go from, comedy club to different comedy club, doing your, usually, from what I know of, it's usually 5 to 15 minutes. I doubt you're going to have an opportunity to do a lot of 20, 25 minute type sets unless you're doing your own type of show. But that's what I'm building towards right now, So, I do appreciate y'all being on my journey, when it comes to, listening and hearing it. But I just want to kind of make more sense to y'all, of what the comedy is and where it's going and why I do certain things behind it, because, it's not very clear. I'm learning, and I think that's even an advantage for me, is to come into the comedy world not really knowing how this whole thing works. I'm even battling right now to feel like a lot of people wait in line. I'm not. It's even confusing. If I hope I express this correctly, but some people want to get a job and want to make a certain income with that job, and when they get frustrated, they find another job. They get frustrated, they find another job, and then they end up, either going doing their own thing or staying, in jobs. But at the end of the day, it's a choice of whether you're gonna. I'm sorry. It's a choice of whether you're gonna, wait in line or go start your own, right? And in comedy, it's almost like, there's a lot of waiting in line, trying to get shows, trying to get people's attention, and waiting for the opportunity, that someone's going to give you. And I'm not sure, but it just feels like, if you have confidence in yourself and in your skills and what you're doing, put on your own show, gather all the people, promote yourself, market yourself, do all that. And I know, look, trust me, it's not easy. I don't think this is easy, but I think it's necessary, because, like if you're waiting for other people's opinions and validation for you to start something or to take yourself to the next level, that's a hard way too. I feel like, which hard way are you going to take? Are you going to take the hard way of you doing it and have more control over you and your brand and what you do? Or do you wait in line for other people to, give you an opportunity? That's a tightrope, because the way that it has been, from what I've experienced and what I've seen in comedy, is that people are just waiting in line for their turn and their opportunity, and next up. And I feel like you should be able to go up and, still be a part of the community and be chosen, but then also, also do your own thing, don't fully 100% be dependent and rely upon an old antiquated system for you to meet your success. I feel like that, I don't know, that's what I've seen. I've been doing stand-up comedy, hasn't even been a year yet, since August of 2019. So far, it's been going really well. I love it. I enjoy it. I'm still going weekly, getting my practice in, trying to get better. I'm still handling my business and my family, which is, you know, really difficult to, you know, balance these, you know, these three things that, you know, I've chosen to put into my life. But so far so good, you know, because even when it's bad, it's still good. Even when it's bad, it's still all good, you know, because I'm still overjoyed and grateful for everything in my life. You know, I probably mentioned that before, but I just hope that, you know, you find whatever encouragement you need to kind of do your own thing. You know, you might not be ready to do your own thing all the time, like solely, you know, because being an entrepreneur or being a sole proprietor or being self-employed is hard, you know, and it's not for everybody, because I do think jobs are cool, careers are cool, you know, but if you choose to do your own thing, or if you choose to if you want to expand your life in any type of way, you don't have to wait in line. Just know that you don't have to. I know that some people rather wait in line because that's what everyone else has been doing, but you know, you don't have to. You know, you could create your own opportunities and do your own thing. You know, but there is another update too. The cash acceptor at the barber school has been fixed. You know, it has been fixed. You know, we are accepting cash in the vending machines currently. And I know it's super petty, super small, but we were cashless, not able to take cash for maybe about a month. And that right there made it to where, you know, we lost about 30 to 40% of what is usually made in that time because it wasn't taking cash. I get it. You know, people don't have coins on them. People don't want to make change. You know, they just want something easy. And we got it fixed because, you know, we called the repair people to come through. See, I was going to try to figure it out on my own. That was really what my solution was. But I put too much on my plate. And, you know, we end up calling the people who come out to check out the machine, you know, end up being where they took a little part out. They just put it back in a certain way and push something. Boom, $85 for that, you know. But I thought that was okay because I felt that was better than me postponing it and losing money, right, at the same time, and then also, you know, me trying to solve the problem on my own and trying to educate myself on whatever it is. So honestly, calling the professionals in, you know, if you want the problem solved fast and quickly, call the professionals in, get them to do it. And we called them in. $85 later, we're taking cash again. So I want to send a shout out to them. Actually, I don't even remember the company name, but I appreciate them, you know. And I'm drinking. I know you hear me interrupting myself, you know, drinking, but while I am better and while my voice is back, you know, I still have like a light cough. Like it feels like if I don't if I don't keep drinking water and moisturizing, you know, the insides, I get a little coughy cough, you know, and no one likes to have a little cough in their ear, you know. Who likes that? Mm-hmm. But you know, these are updates, you know, as a reminder, always be present. You know, I really appreciate you all for joining me on this episode. Like I said, you know, if you have a chance and if you're interested in supporting me, you know, be a soldier and make your way to Apple Podcasts, leave a review, and 5 stars, leave a review, and that would really help other people locate this podcast. It's been growing. It's doing well. I just want there to be an opportunity for this to be able to touch others and, you know, and spread, you know, because, you know, the better I get, the better you get. You know, y'all are my day ones, you know, and I appreciate y'all. And you know I love you, you know. So I don't take any of this for granted. I appreciate everything. So thank you again for joining me on this wonderful episode number 9. Remember, keep flossing, and I love you. See you later. Oh, damn. And just as a final reminder, remember that a good life is when you assume nothing, do more, smile often, dream big, laugh a lot, and realize how blessed you are. See you later.